Hello? Hello?
Facebook.
Hello?
Super animal.
You have reached 20.
Well, that is online at Fruition Music Store. That is all right. That is all right. Welcome, 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 everyone, for another week of Palms Up. Boy, I tell you, thank you for that beautiful, beautiful musical selection from Miss Rachel Brackett, and we're going to hear more from her. We are so honored and so blessed to be in front of you another week. Guys, before I go any further, how about Happy National Women's History Month? Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. This is a day that the Lord has made. Guys, rejoice and be glad for it and in it. How about that? Palms up. Guys, we're so excited to bring you another show this week. And you know how we do. We always two wheels around the curve, but we on our way. We do this work. We just do this work, and we could not come before you another week. We got our beautiful virtual audience. I don't want to go any further without acknowledging and praising and thank you. Guys, we're going to term you guys our palmers because you guys are our soldiers. You're riding with us week in and week out, and we thank you so very much for it. Guys, healthydcandme.org is the website. Make sure to spell the word "and" out. You too can get the link and be a part of our virtual audience. It's that easy. We got our beautiful Charles behind the scenes running things as he always does. Thank you, Mr. Charles, for another wonderful week, sir, of dedication and commitment. Mad love you for you, so mad love for you, my soldier. And then you know who this guy is to my right, Mr. Unapologetically Speaking, Mr. Kenneth Clark of Uncut Live. Thank you, sir, for rocking with a sister another week. And we've got our beautiful overseer of Real Talk, Ann Cole's in the house with us. What a beautiful singing guest. Boy, I tell you, Ann takes care of that music. I don't know what you heard, but she got it on lock, that's for sure. And we thank you for all her wonderful songbirds and her angels that she brings in her posse with her. We're sending a wonderful, passionate, from the bottom of our heart, heartfelt condolence out to Mr. Lemuel Hines and his family as they work through some things. And Mr. Hines, we're praying for your quick return back to the set. So guys, if you would put a palms up in the air for Mr. Hines and his family, we're praying for a positive turnaround in that situation. God bless you, sir. Hey, to my left here, guys, we got a treat. We got a treat. Not too often do I get to bring out MI's mother, Miss Regina. She came out this evening to celebrate National Women's History Month, but more importantly, we're talking about stigma in mental health tonight, and I had to go and get my wisdom to hang out with me. So thank you, Mother, for joining us. God bless you guys. You know it's special when I bring out the big gun. So we're going to have some fun tonight. So I thank you guys for joining us. And I believe on the Zoom, we've got Mr. Christopher Gassaway. Thank you, sir, for joining us, Mr. Gassaway. We're going to get into a little bit about who you are in just a minute, but welcome, sir.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
You're so modest. I'm coming back for you in just a minute. Also, I think we've got Miss Jackie Jones out there, and I know that Pastor Coles is going to invite her in on our Real Talk segment, but I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge our featured guests and then also to thank our palmers out there. Guys, we're going to jump right on into this. Guys, our Cash App, if you didn't know by now, is Palms Up for MI, and our MI is mentally intelligent. Our community, we're replacing the words mental illness with the words mental intelligence, because we're all about empowering our citizens, empowering our communities and our families. Guys, so Palms Up, the number 4 MI, that's the Cash App. HealthyDCandme.org is where you go to get the link so that you can come into the Zoom tonight. Also, Project Enough, Project PROJECT ENUFF.com. Please go sign the change.org petition. We're trying to get funding for mental health so that we can help our city with this state of emergency and the violence that's going on with the gun violence and our children. We need to talk up the mental health, and we need more resources. Don't talk about it, be about it. ProjectEnough.com. Help us to get the words out. Our palmers out there. Hey guys, without any further ado, the word on the street. Boy, oh boy, but we got quite a bit going on the street. I want you to understand that, let's get to my cards, guys. I don't have my cards in order. How about that? First, everything that I give you tonight are articles that you're going to be able to further reference on our website, healthydcandme.org, on our archives page. Everything, all of the information we put out, you guys can further access on the website. Guys, the first article I want to share with you, word on the street, is that the COVID lockdowns, they've got people smoking more per Health Day News. Now, they're talking about tobacco and nicotine. And so they say that the new research shows that more Americans are turning to nicotine and tobacco to deal with the struggles out there. They're talking about struggles from boredom, from anxiety, from the disruption of your regular routines. And they're saying that nearly all of the people that they would have researched and polled are saying that it's due to the increased stress. They're talking about fears from the virus feeding into the stress levels. They're talking about the uncertainty of their jobs. And then of course, what we've been talking about here on the platform is mental health effects as it relates to isolation, guys. And it's so serious. And we're gonna keep talking about this and keep beating a dead rug about it, because stress, we learned last week, toxic stress is deadly. Say it again, let me settle down. Toxic stress is deadly. And so here on this platform in honor of National Women's History Month, you heard me say it last week, we're about promoting healthy families. And if we keep our women healthy and strong and supported, we can keep our families healthy, strong, and supported. Palms up. Palms up, that's right. Guys, I want you to know that also, word on the street is that there's a mural that's been tattooed, a mural, M-U-R-A-L, has been tattooed, looks like RBJ. RBJ stands for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And those of you that don't know, she is Supreme Court justice that has recently passed away. But over there in wonderful Anacostia, there are some groups from out of town that decided that her mural should be painted over there. And you know, communities over in Anacostia didn't understand why that was the choice. And so the mural, if you want to check it out, is painted on the side of the far southeast collaborative building, and it's located at 2004 Martin Luther King Avenue Southeast. Now, why it's right over there where that Busboys is, guys. If you know where Busboys and Poet is over in Southeast. The critics say that their main concern, which would be our concern here on the platform as well, is that the murals and the team that commissioned her to paint it are both from out of town. It's called Murals for Humanity is who they are. The young lady who painted it is named Jules Muck. And she says that she tried to save the mural by adding George Floyd's image to it to help make the connection for folks between justice and obviously the reality of leaving that mural up. But you can imagine the community's uproar, and I'm glad the community's speaking out up there over there. The final note I want to make is that the owner of the building obviously doesn't have a problem with the mural and thought that was great, but also is okay with them changing it. Guys, let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Why is this important? Why do we do this platform? Why is Palms Up and all of the work that Healthy DC and me and .org is doing important right now at this moment in history? Guys, gentrification is real. Yeah. Gentrification is real. Google Anacostia and you take a look at the imagery that comes up. The erasing of our footprint is happening before our eyes. And I'm not saying that Justice Ruth Bader was not someone to be memorialized, but I'm not sure necessarily if that's the memorial that has to go over in Anacostia when we got so many other greats that could be painted on that building. Come on now, we just lost the beautiful soul, Miss Hill, under the bridge, homeless for years. I think that she's earned the right to be able to be painted on that building. I think we got a lot of folks that recognize the cultural relevance of having murals in our communities that look like us. Guys, don't take this gentrification for granted. When you stay silent, they control the conversations. I'm just saying. And I just want to know who's watching the kingdom. We've got to speak up and use our voices out there. Gentrification is real and the conversation is changing every day. From murals that they're painting on sides of buildings where your children walk these streets and go to schools and go to their doctor's appointments, to streets and alleyways where our families have shed blood and tears in these streets. Guys, our footprint and our presence is relevant and it matters. And we have to use our voices to speak up. The Healthy DC and Me platform and also the Palms Up platform is sending a wonderful shout out to our advocates over there in Southeast that spoke up. And so we're looking forward to see now what goes in the place of that. Guys, did you know that DC was opening 3 more sites for the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine? Yes, we're going to still keep reporting on this because I know by now, since we first started talking about it, there are many of our Palmers out there that have had the vaccine, and you have to do what you have to do, guys. And whatever side of this conversation you're on, we just want you to be having the conversation. If you're not someone who's ready to take this vaccine, whether it's the vaccine that Moderna has put together, Pfizer has put together, or if it's the one shot that Johnson & Johnson has, guys, if you're not going to take the vaccine, then at least do your education or come to platforms like ours and ask questions. We'll do the research. We don't propose to know it all, but we don't mind helping you get some answers or invite some professionals to the platform to help us keep this conversation going, because it's very stressful and many people are on opposite sides of this and no one stands in judgment. You have to make the best decision for you and your family. We do know that things like vitamin D deficient is of concern. So get some knowledge so that you can find out how you might be able to counteract staying healthy and keeping your family healthy as well as the community, guys. They tell me that they've opened up 3 sites for the Johnson vaccine, and Johnson & Johnson vaccine is only 1 dose as opposed to Moderna and Pfizer being 2 doses. Guys, in the 3 places that they're opening up these centers, the Walter E. Washington Convention Center over in Northwest, Providence Health System in Northeast, and the entertainment, and sports arena in Southeast. A couple of other notes I wanted you to know. As of today, they're reporting that 5.4% of DC city residents are fully vaccinated. They tell me that they did a little over 2,370 to be exact. Those are the amount of doses. 2,370 doses were given out at the convention center over the weekend. So they obviously are excited to see the folks coming in more. showing up. So the numbers are growing. And then one other stat I wanted to share with you, they're reporting that nearly half of the DC homeless population that are documented have been vaccinated. I thought that was interesting. Who's reporting that? The director of health over at DC is saying that half of the documented homeless folks in the city have been vaccinated already. That's going to be interesting. We're going to follow that. We're happy to hear that folks are showing up to get tested, and we're going to keep an eye out for you guys on this process. And those of you that have been vaccinated, we'd love for you to call in and help us to understand, or even come to the platform to help the general public out there understand what you might be going through, your positive experience with it. If there's some challenges at this time, we want to be able to come together as a community and talk about these things, because it's very important for us all. God bless you guys out there. I also want you to know that Washington, D.C. residents are calling out. Don't worry, we hear devices are ringing. Folks, we're popular, girl. We love it. But on Tuesday night, only thing that matters is our Palms Up show. So I want you to know that Washington, D.C. residents are calling out the style book. Who is this? They're calling out the AP, the Associated Press. I'm sorry, because there was a conversation talking about this gentrification. There's a conversation out there, guys. They'd like for folks not to reference the District of Columbia as DC anymore, or as the district. They want people to start referencing DC as Washington, or the nation's capital. I'm going to give you one quote to sum this up. A gentleman at Douglas Sloan says, "I'm from here. Don't tell me how to refer to it." Guys, the conversations are changing around this town. Are you a part of the in crowd? I'm just saying. Welcome, guys, welcome. Thanks so much for your patience as we got through our word on the street. And I want to keep this going. I want you to know that tonight's topic is talking about stigma and hearing from the voices in the community. I've got some beautiful voices tonight that are going to help us to speak out on some very important matters. So this will be a great time in the program for you guys to get in touch with someone and tell them to join us. MI has a 5-part plan. MI being the community partner, mental health community partner of Healthy DC and me. We've got a 5-part plan to help our community understand how to deal with the stigma that's out there, because there are folks that have mental health diagnosis, whether it's them themselves or folks in their family, and it's uncomfortable. And now that we have a new norm with this pandemic, more folks than not are having to understand what mental health looks like. And so rather than just keep telling you that mental health matters, we want you to understand through our lens what it is that we're really saying to you. And so in our 5-part plan to help eradicate, meaning eliminate, the uncomfortableness around talking about mental health, we intend to talk about accountability, advocacy, education, prevention, and resources. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying accountability starts with us all. And in order to hold you accountable, we've got to educate you about what mental health is. We've got to come away from yesterday's understanding, because see, we used to talk about and call folks retarded yesterday. Guys, can we talk? Palms up. Guys, it's National Women's History Month, and there's no need to tiptoe around these very, very important matters. One of my first guests today is Mr. Christopher Gassaway, and I'm so honored and so blessed to have him. Christopher is a gentleman that I met in the community over 3-4 years ago, and Christopher was someone who was very empowered, very educated, very well-spoken, and when I found that he was going through some challenges in the system himself, what he felt that he needed was a voice, someone that could help him further explain some of the challenges when you have caregivers that may not be properly vetted to help people of mental health nature. And I'm going to have Mr. Christopher share some stories to give you an idea, guys, because we figured that if we make these stories more humanistic for you, then maybe you yourself might look in the mirror and help us to clean up this conversation around mental health. Because guys, they're beautiful people as well, no doubt. Palms up. Hey, Mr. Christopher Gassaway, will you come to the forefront for me?
Okay, I'm here.
How's it going, sir? Thanks so much for being here. For those of you that might be wondering, Mr. Christopher Gassaway is a beautiful, beautiful mental health citizen in the district. He's also had the pleasure of being able to have exposure in the Fairfax, Virginia system. And so he's had a way to be able to live long enough to have comparisons. So I want you to know that his observations and his testimony are very real in nature. And the MI Mother's Keeper organization is also proud to have Christopher serve as an honorary board member, because we thought it it was important to make certain that we stay relevant in this mental health conversation. Hey, Christopher, when we talk about stigma and stigma being a mark of disgrace, when you think about some of the meanness that you've encountered, and for someone that might be listening or watching right now that truly doesn't understand how bad it might get for a person of mental health trying to make their way, can you think of a situation or two to help folks understand some of the things that one might encounter from a stigma standpoint?
Well, my thing is, you know, if that's to say, if you're in a life and death situation, and you're in a car accident, and you'll find yourself in a state of mind that's not so good, where you're dealing with depression, anxiety, and you come into a new environment, and you come from being in an apartment, and you go into a group home, and you know you don't always have the support system that's in place because they don't know how to handle them types of things in Washington D.C. You know, nobody asked to be in a car accident and be almost paralyzed. Knowing how to deal with that, having the right type of components in place, and having communication with the faculty that surrounds you, and supposed to support you with caregiving, with the quality insurance managers, with the house managers, and know how to deal with that. Instead of feel like you still have to try to do everything when you are very hurt.
Okay, so let me stop you for a minute because I thank you for that. You're helping us to understand the importance of having caregivers that are sensitive enough when folks are going through things such as, like you said, a car accident, or it could be something not as drastic as a car accident. It could just be something that you're challenged with and you're going through something emotionally. And the people that are professionally in place, you're saying that they're not exhibiting levels of sensitivity. I want to go a little deeper. You know, Ms. Rhonda, we're going to try to protect this as much as we can, but we don't want to give people the real. Is it realistic in your belief that persons are exposed to things such as ugly as sexual abuse or domestic abuse in a system of mental health care?
Well, you know, being dealing with situations like that, you know, not properly screening your staff and knowing what they're going to attend, or they're going to try to do harm to you or anything like that. I think that's important. I think sometimes they just hire people just to fill in their position and not really doing a psychological well-being. You know, I had somebody told me a while ago that they said it's not necessary, and it's discrimination to do mental evaluation on the staff that's supposed to be supporting you. And I feel like that's a component that needs to be important, because when you look at documentation and you read about situations that people go through, a lot of times they react based on that instead of really getting to know the person, understand them, and have compassion about it. Being outgoing, what does it mean to be outgoing?
I want to stop you for a minute because you're talking about some good things, and I want you to touch on a few more things before we have to shift to someone else. So thank you. I'm letting it go as long as I can because I want folks to hear how articulate and how well spoken you are. And had they not known your diagnosis, I'm sure they'd be having conversations without even realizing. But a lot of times we get caught up in the labels, and it's important to get to know the person. And so I thank you again so much, Christopher, because this is so important. Talk to me a little bit about some of the things that many in the system have encountered. I know, for example, we have caregivers that sometimes have been noted as maybe coming to work under the influence or using substances while they're at work and supposed to be caring for our vulnerable citizens. I know that you yourself have advocated for citizens in the system that can't speak, that were seemingly in harm's way. I know that there was reference made in some instances where staff have used words like, you know, or use the threat of calling the police against you and things, not you per se, but, you know, in general. I'm just trying to open up the curtains a little bit on some of the ugliness that one might encounter in the system. Can you help me with that?
Yeah. You know, when you somebody like myself, will you communicate things in a way that's when you stand your ground for what you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that can be misconstrued and misinterpreted at times. When you a person that's passionate about what the things you want to see in the home that you be in, as for sanitation, maintaining a proper schedule, knowing what plans that you would like to have, instead of somebody doing that for you. And a lot of times we try to implement them things, trying to put it into the life so they can have a better way of dealing with you. A lot of times they like to have a controlled environment.
And I want to talk about that. Stop for a minute, Chris. Thank you. I want to talk about that. There's something called dignity. And I don't think that many of our everyday folks realize that when you have to open your life up to other people being a part of your care routine, sometimes they don't give you the dignity that you deserve as an individual when they come into your home environments, because they have to care for you, but not recognizing that that is still your home environment. And you touched on something too, Christopher, in terms of sometimes they're just hiring an individual instead of making sure that the individual is sensitive to the mental health understanding and needs of the individual. And so it's important that we keep allowing you and folks like you to speak so that our society stops putting labels and making you to be out people that don't have your own dignity that is worth preserving. And I want to stop right there and segue and invite Miss Regina Fleming into the conversation and ask her to speak up a little bit. Now, this is a soldier, been in this DC mental health system for over 40 years, and she looking good over here to my left. I'm so proud of her, but we've come a long way, baby. And being your daughter, I'm so proud of your success. And I'm so proud that you allow us to kind of talk about some very personal, private things so that we can all be better stewards for it. Would you talk to us about stigma and some of the unkind things that maybe people encounter in this system?
Yes.
And I need you to speak up for me.
Well, I really started going to the hospital for my illness when I was back in late 1970s.
Okay, I'm gonna repeat you. You was going to the hospital for your illness back in the late 70s? 1970s, okay.
And I I was admitted in the hospital. I stayed there for 2 years. And I want to say,
did you encounter anything of I'm talking about stigma. Anybody feel uncomfortable because you may have had your voices that you noticed?
Everybody was calm. Everybody was assured.
How about in the general public when you weren't in the hospital? In the general public?
In the general public, I knew I had been baffled before for substance abuse. I was able to go to the house of abuse and receive services there.
Mm-hmm.
The law was with us. They came and took me to St. News. They were very nice. They lit me up like I was a baby.
So let me translate. So on the community level, folks of you that were under the influence of substance abuse, you became in danger of, and when the police came, they were able to help you get to St. Elizabeth and get care. Okay, great. And so guys, what I wanted my mom to come out and speak on, which she is an older veteran at this, is the reality of getting the community educated about knowing when there's problems or knowing when there's trouble. It's National Women's History Month, and I need you to understand that there are women of mental health that are homeless. There are women of mental health that have drug challenges. There are women of mental health that have challenges economically right now. And what happens when our women are out in the elements, they're exposed to things like rape, they're exposed to violence, they're exposed to our unhealthy male populations that are out there self-medicating. And what my mom found a lot of times is that she had to be rescued in her situations because she was not necessarily strong enough to fight back against it. And on a community level, a lot of times we turn a deaf ear. I can tell you that our agency has been called in on many occasions, and one particular that stays with me is that I had a whole building of residents that stepped over a mother and her grieving child sleeping in the hallway for a week. Guys, we have got to stop closing our eyes and turning a deaf ear, because there are women and families and men out in the community that need our help. And I wanted to come today, most importantly, to put a human face on what we are stigmatizing. My mom is a beautiful soul, and I thank God for the many agencies and the professionals that showed up time and time again to help her, to give her a lifeline so she could sit before us today to share with you why it is that her dignity deserves to be intact and respected. So I thank you guys, and I thank you, Christopher. I thank you, Regina, for helping us to do the work that we do every day. And my mother's keeper thinks and knows that it's important to empower our citizens of mental health, because they are so much more than their diagnosis. And if you take nothing away today, I need you to understand that we as a body, as a people, need to get better at being kind. Mental health matters. It's National Women's History Month. Let's talk it up out there, and let's keep trying to be better. Hey guys, thanks so much. I want to invite my wonderful, beautiful Real Talk host, Miss Ann Coles, to the conversation. She's got some beautiful women that are coming into the community to continue our celebration, coming into the conversation for our voices from the community. And guys, you know, as we talk about this mental health, domestic violence is a part of that. And we do this healing together. Welcome, my Real Talk advocate. Will you please take this control, please?
No, I have not had my purple pill yellow pill or anything. My guest for this evening is Minister Gracia Brackett, who has a women's group that she works with. And I'm come from it from I am a domestic violence survivor. I walked out in December 12/14, and I had to make a choice because I was also 100% caregiver for my father, who was bedridden. And what actually made me walk out, and I never forget it, we were getting ready. It was the big Redskins and Cowboys game. And we had guests over that evening, and when we got ready to go to bed, he started arguing. He was hungry, and I'm like, I just fed you, and one thing led to another, and he slapped me and he grabbed me and threw me into the closet. But when I walked, you know, he had his grandson there and my son was there. And when I walked out and I saw my son shaking, I had to make a split decision. And this went on, and women, I need to let you understand that domestic violence don't just happen after you get married. The signs are really there during the relationship, but based on where your mental state is at the time, you're vulnerable, you're insecure, you feel like you need a mate to make you complete. Peer pressure in church, okay, especially if you're in leadership position and different communities, all play a part of it. So what happened? So basically, what I did, I ended up getting dressed and leaving. And I continually just to pee on myself, and I had to put my son with me, and I had to just ask God to protect my father, that he didn't do anything. And why I'm on this mission is because, cut it short, he ended up going to jail when we went to trial, and I knew he had been locked up before. He told me he got locked up for a fight, but I found out at his trial he had served time for domestic violence from a former relationship. The judge gave him 10 years, suspended 5, and he had to do 5 mandatory, and then he was gonna have to do 10 years supervised probation. And to this day, I still believe one of my minister friends paid for him to have a private lawyer, and when they appealed the case, basically this man got off scot-free, and the judge said that he felt that it was a heated argument that a married couple had, so that's why they dismissed the case. That brings on trauma, and to this day, one of the effects I have is I cannot sleep. My brain don't cut off. I go into anxiety attacks. I'm just keeping it real, because I want you to understand, God has called me for a purpose to lead people of Jesus Christ. but I am a human being, so my body go through certain things.
Come on now.
So we don't really talk about this thing.
That's right.
Leaders, stop using the Bible, because let me tell you, that Negro, see, y'all see me getting that Negro was on his way to the pulpit. And in the pulpit, we're gonna start at the pulpit. You justify some of the abuse that you do, and you use the word of God to justify your nasty, funky ways. And see,
Come on
it's
now.
time out,
Come on.
y'all.
Time
We
out.
are hurting
Time out.
our people. And it's not just the women. The one thing I have learned, that there's some men out there,
Amen.
the women
Come
giving
on.
them a beat down.
Come on
And
now.
so they got a double-edged sword.
Come on.
Because they get beat up by a woman. They can't go tell their boys because they gonna call them a punk. So they just sit there and suffer.
That's right.
So that's mental illness. And then we want to talk about mental illness. It's called ACE, which stands for adolescence, adverse
childhood.
childhood.
Come on now.
And what that means, see, I'm going to the woman now.
Come on now.
That if your mama got 3 of them, your daddy got 2 of them, the egg ain't got a choice but to keep on
Come
doing
on
it,
now.
okay?
Come on
See,
now.
so the child becomes traumatized before it even get earthborn, okay?
Come on now.
So we need to stop doing some stupid stuff, okay?
And using our mouths for guns and weapons.
That's it. Our tongue. That this
Come
little
on,
thing
Pastor.
is what's tearing a lot of
Come
people
on.
up.
Come on.
Tearing a lot of people up. Sometimes you ain't gotta say nothing, it's your actions. And I'm upfront. I tell people all the time, I can help everybody else, but can't you help myself?
Come on now. Come on
In the
now.
pulpit, I have tried to take my life 3 times. In the pulpit, this has caused me to lose my home, to be homeless. But,
Lord, Father.
and I'm still building my life.
Come on now.
And I go to a therapist every 2 weeks.
That's right.
So I don't want you to tell me that I don't have faith. I don't walk in faith.
Come on now.
So I'm charging all leaders. I don't care if you're a church leader, government leader, in the court. We all got some type of trauma.
Come on now.
And we need to own up to it. And for y'all government officials, let's get our health insurance in some good order. Let's get some providers that can help our culture in some order. Stop letting us get in these sessions and then you cut us off. We making too much, but the other culture is unlimited. Now I'm gonna turn it over to my girl. You know, I really try to be quiet because I still got some anger issues. Because I really feel it's really unfair. I really feel because I still to this day don't understand. Yeah, I'm a very strong personality, but I'm a in order person. I come subject to my mate.
Come on now.
And I need y'all to understand that submission don't mean being nobody's punk, being nobody's floor mat, being nobody's punching bag. True submission means being able to be taught.
That's
but
right.
when you teach somebody, teach them in a loving manner.
That's right. That's right.
In a loving manner. Because this mental health can be. My son has been diagnosed with 6 things in mental health. But he an A student.
Come on now, speak on it.
He's been accepted indoors. And during this virus has opened the opportunity for him to start his major while he's still in high school. But the therapist said to me, because I don't believe in medications, because I'm tired of seeing our children like zombies. But see, God answered my prayer. Because I said, in it all, I don't want my son to go in with medicine. So his therapist told me, there's no medication that can help your son. But it takes strong support. It's real. It's real. I'm tired.
It's real. That's why we're doing. That's why we're keeping it right here.
Mental health is real. I have a ministry, as Overseer said, Sisters of Royalty, which started in June of 2018.
Awesome.
God had given me a vision. God deals with me in dreams. And I remember calling my mother, my grandmother, to talk to them about the vision that God had given me. We had taken my son to college and coming home, and I went to bed that night and I had this dream. I saw myself literally in a pulpit ministering to a whole bunch of young ladies. And I woke up and I saw my son, because at the time he was going to school for culinary arts, and I saw him in a back preparing food. And so when I woke up, I said, well, what was all that about? So I called my mother, my grandmother, and I was talking to them. So, my mom told, she said, well, pray about it and, see what God is talking to you about. well, you know not to do that because God is starting to do a whole lot of stuff. That you don't want to hear.
Amen.
So over the months, God started revealing things to me and talking to me. So I literally had to grab a book and start writing things down. And over the years, I stopped. I was like, okay, God, I can't do that.
Mhm.
You know, and it was out of fear because of people, what people was going to think about me, what people was going to say. And, people knew that I had a troubled marriage and I had children and all that. So, I was afraid to say, hey, well, I believe that God is calling me to start a women's ministry. I was really afraid to do that. Well, Lord and behold, I went to one of my girls, fast forward to 2018, April of 2018, I went to visit a friend of mine's church. And I walked in, and I remember when I walked in, her pastor and we met eye to eye. And I'm looking like, okay, why is this man looking at me? So, the first thing I'm thinking is he trying to flirt with me. That's the first thing you think. And so I sat down, and I kept seeing him every once in a while. He was looking. And so when church was over, he preached his message, and church was over. He called me out. He said, young lady in the black and white, I need you to come to the front. So I'm looking around. So I'm like, I'm the only one in there with black and white on, first of all. And so he said, yeah, you want the one looking around. You gotta come up here. So I went up there and I stood at him and he looked at me. He said, God told you to do something and you've been disobedient.
Wow.
And so I'm looking like, okay, what he tell me to do? Because I don't know what he told me to do. He said, God told you to start a women's ministry some years ago and you have not done it.
Glory.
Tears, this man don't know me.
Yeah, and I want us to move this along because I don't want to get to the part of how do we get in touch with you? What's the name of the ministry?
The
Obviously, you started it.
Sisters of Royalty. We are on Facebook. Sisters
Awesome.
of Royalty. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
And I am the founder of the group. And you can reach us on Facebook, and I believe we're on Instagram as well.
Awesome.
Sisters of Royalty 2018.
And will you just give us a snippet of the kind of work you're doing?
Yes. What we are doing right now, we are in the process now of trying to get our 501c3 together.
Awesome.
And what we are going to be offering services to young ladies between the ages of 15 to 25. But we're not going to, not service anyone if they're younger than that or older than that. But we're looking to provide transportation to work, to doctor's appointments for their children. We're looking to even open up apartment complexes for the young ladies to live. We're looking to start a cafe. We're going to do etiquette training for the young ladies, mentoring.
Awesome.
I have a group of women now that are on my committee. We have 9, and I have 2 counselors that are on duty right now.
Awesome. That's wonderful. And if you will make sure that we have all of your contact info, we want to make sure because folks, we want to make sure they can find you through our platform because folks are asking us about our guests. Thank you so much for all your wonderful work. And I'm so happy for your testimony because I know that there's another woman of God out there during this National Women's History Month that is challenged to be obedient and has got to be called out, as you say. God bless you, palms up. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Pastor, before we get out of our Real Talk segment, can you bring Ms. Jones into the conversation? And we want to keep it moving because I know Mr. Red is ready to bring his segment and we started a little behind. Ms. Jones, are you with us? Jackie, did you make it to the platform? Okay, well, I mean, I'll leave it to you to wrap up, Pastor, and then we'll throw it to Perry.
I say for Jackie, she texted me a little while ago. She takes care of her mom.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that home comes first.
Absolutely, always.
So when she said she was busy counting, I'm like, okay. She said she was gonna try to tune in. And I can share this. Jackie Jones, she's a domestic violence survivor too.
Awesome.
And I also work with the woman, I don't know if y'all remember in Clinton where she was young, she had gas. You met her. You met her.
Glory, and don't even realize it. Glory.
And shout out to Sister Hall. Her husband's in ICU. He made it 24 hours.
Hey, look at God.
Keep her in prayer. He was on his way to a doctor's appointment, had a heart attack and a stroke.
Yeah.
And they took him off the breathing machine, but
he's still here. Won't God do it? That's a blessing. Thank you so much, Pastor. I appreciate all of this wonderful knowledge and information. Domestic violence is really important. I know that you have the Voices in the Valley. I know that there's information that will be circulating about that on the website as well.
Yes.
Do you have targeted meet dates, or are you just kind of doing the one-on-one Zooms?
We're looking at Mondays.
Mondays
Mondays from 7 to 8:30, so that way
Awesome.
we can cover Pacific area.
Awesome.
And around the world. It'll be a virtual meeting, safe place. Right now we're looking at hotline numbers. So when people call, if the spouse or boyfriend pick up the phone, they won't know that it is
Awesome.
a domestic violence line.
That's
safe.
I like hearing that. I really do. Thank you for the work that you guys are doing. The stigma that's surrounding mental health, and most importantly, drug abuse and domestic violence and some of the other challenges that our citizens are going through are in great need of the work that we're doing. And so I thank you guys, and I appreciate you, sisters, and I honor you guys in this particular month, because it's important that our culture know that we're out here doing this work. Thanks so much. Hey, palms up to our beautiful leaders out here. Hey, Charles, is Mr. Perry Red with us this week by chance? Has he made it to the platform yet?
No.
No, that's okay. I want to ask my virtual audience members, I want to do something a little different this week, since you guys are so dedicated and showing up to the platform. Before we invite our beautiful musical songbird to bring us another selection, I'd like for you guys to unmute out there. If any of you have any testimonies as it relates to stigma, any of your family members, any of you yourself that are experiencing something, co-workers, guys, it's important that we come together as a community and identify where we can be better. So I want to open up the platform to anyone in our community that wants to weigh in on this week's conversation. Anybody come forward and identify yourself? Stigma. Anybody know anything about it out there?
What's the stigma mean?
Well, stigma is a mark of disgrace. I love that you asked that question. And most importantly, I want you guys to carry away this week with the understanding of systemic stigma. Now, systemic stigma is very dangerous, because what happens is when you have people that are in positions of leadership or making decisions or passing laws or controlling budgets, and they have a prejudiceness about mental health, about someone that might be exposed to mental health exposures, such as substance abuse. In the mental health community, we have homelessness. We've got domestic violence. We've got HIV. We've got a prevalence of issues that when folks that are in leadership position are not sensitive to these understandings, and when they're not held accountable, what happens is the people that are living with these judgments and these negative oversights are oppressed. They're oppressed in their economic means, they're oppressed in their educational exposures, they're oppressed in the type of healthcare that they've received exposure to. Guys, it is important that we as a community, maybe you yourself aren't going through it, but can you honestly tell me that with 1 out of 5 people being affected or impacted by mental health, that you're not running into these folks out in the community? And when I say these folks, I'm talking about beautiful folks like my beautiful mother here, Miss Regina Fleming. I'm talking about beautiful folks like my wonderful right-hand sidekick here, like Mr. Kenneth Clark, who's come through the foster care system and kicked it on his behind and is showing it his chest because he's the Superman of the system. You hear what I'm saying? I'm talking about my beautiful citizens like Miss Overseer Ann Coles, who stare down the face of domestic violence and will not allow feelings of embarrassment or shame or anything stick, because she's a soldier of God and she knows the importance of using her voice and her testimony to save someone out there. So guys, this is the platform where we come to get empowered. Palms up. We do this together, one step at a time, one story and one testimony at a time, because you hear us say all the time, mental health matters, and we're going to eradicate stigma. And because music is the universal language, I want you guys to sit tight before we close out, and let's hear another beautiful selection from our beautiful songbird and guest this week.
Oh, bless thee, oh Lord, with the heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, oh Lord, with my hands lifted up and my mouth filled with praise.
I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord, with a heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O Lord. Oh, with my hands lifted up, hey, my mouth filled with praise, with a heart of thanksgiving, I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord. Oh, I will bless thee, O Lord, with a heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord, with a heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless thee, O Lord. Oh, I will bless thee, O Lord, with a heart of thanksgiving. I will bless thee, O Lord. Oh, with my hands lifted up, and my mouth filled with praise.
That's all right.
With a heart of thanksgiving, I will bless thee, O Lord.
That's all right. That's all
Oh,
right.
I will bless thee, O Lord. Oh, I will bless thee, O Lord, with a heart of thanksgiving.
Be
I
careful
will
of that
bless
door.
thee, O Lord.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
I will bless thee, O Lord.
Lord.
I will bless thee, O Lord.
That's all right.
Lord.
That's
It's
all
all
right.
right. It's all right.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yes, all right. All right.
Palms up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hallelujah.
I just want to thank Heavenly Father for coming through this
Thank you,
platform.
oh God.
Thank you, our beautiful songbird. Guys, with the
Yes.
heavy heart, we want to thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you from the bottom of our
Thank
heart.
you, oh
We
God.
do this together, one testimony, one song, one story at a time. We are
Thank
all in
you.
this together. We are coming through a pandemic, and if you're quiet out there and you're suffering in silence,
Thank
please
you.
don't. Please don't. Guys, we are all human at the end of the day. We all go through something.
Yes.
Sometimes we
Yes.
can handle it. Sometimes we can't. We never
That's
know
right.
what God
That's
has
right.
for us, guys. And we never know
Hallelujah.
until we walk in someone else's shoes how heavy it could be. All we ever
Amen.
hope to do on this platform is to transcend a message of education, a message of love, a message
Yes.
of humanness, guys. Because palms up, we are truly all in this together. And if you didn't realize it, mental health does does matter. And all we ever do every day is put our best foot forward. We're just asking you to do so by being a little more kinder out there. And if there's anything we can do to help any of your families out there, please do let us know. Guys, we're out here in these communities. We're out here across the DMV because we know that it's tough out there. And culturally as a people, we sit in silence, but we no longer have to do that, guys. Thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for coming through this platform and touching these souls tonight. Palms up.
Thank you.
We are so honored and so blessed to have you join us another week. Guys, we ask that you carry forward and just remember out there, mental health does matter. You don't have to be diagnosed. You just carry stress too long and it gets toxic and you're dealing with something health-wise. Remember all of the wonderful information we're trying to share and try a new norm. Try a new norm. Set that stress aside and get a support system around you and look it in the face and tell them, not on my watch, no longer will you control my life. Guys, mental health is bigger than the diagnosis. It's bigger than the individuals that are struggling with it. Guys, it's a humankind issue.
Yeah.
We're all human and we can all be kind. God bless you out there.
Next week. You all will be here next week.
You'll be here every week with God's grace and mercy. And
amen. Amen. Next week, I'll give you a testimony next week.
Awesome. We'll look forward to it.
Amen. Amen.
Sister for Gassaway and all our comments out there.
Sister Rachel, I made it, Sister Rachel.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're going to be able to do this every week with His grace and mercy. We thank you all. Most importantly, thanks to my beautiful co-host and our guest this week. And most importantly, thanks to you all for making this relevant. Palms up.
Palms up.
Next week, we talk about the clergy's support for mental health and today's family. Please join us. Bring your testimonies. We do this together, step by step. Until next week, guys, hold on out there. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you all for having me. And
God
everybody have a blessed evening and a blessed week.
Okay, you guys too. Bye-bye, our palmers out there.
Bye.